Japan, around 950 years ago. In that era, samurai were worshipped like gods of war, legends whose strength was known across the land. But in 1878, everything changed. Japan entered a period of modernization, and the samurai were suddenly seen as relics of the past, replaced by soldiers carrying firearms. The samurai refused to accept this decision and rose up in rebellion. In response, the government chose the fastest way to deal with them, wiping out any samurai who refused to submit to the new Japanese regime. 10 years passed. Now we meet Shujiro, one of the few samurai who survived that war. Since the modernization began, Shujiro and his family have experienced a complete reversal of fortune. Once respected and feared as the strongest samurai in Japan, he is now forced to live in misery and extreme poverty. To make things worse, his wife and child have fallen ill, as Japan is in the grip of a cholera outbreak. Desperate to buy medicine for his child, the unemployed Shujiro decides to pawn the only valuable item he has left, his katana. Slowly, he takes out the sword that was once a legend among samurai in Japan. Yet now he cannot bring himself to draw it. The moment the blade is exposed even a little, he is flooded with the memory of thousands of comrades who died right before his eyes 10 years ago, a trauma that never left him. Not long after, Shujiro arrives at the pawn shop. He offers his sword, hoping to get enough money for his child's medicine. Unfortunately, the shop refuses to accept it, even though it is a legendary blade. In this new era, swords are worthless, even considered illegal. Shujiro keeps pleading because he truly has nothing else left. The pawnbroker, who feels pity for him, still rejects the sword, but decides to help in another way, giving Shujiro some sugar and rice so at least his family can eat. Shujiro walks home filled with disappointment, since he did not get what he really needed. On the way back, his hope suddenly returns when he notices a flyer inviting former samurai to join a competition with a prize of 100,000 yen. He keeps the flyer and hurries home to tell his wife. But what he never expected is that his daughter has already passed away before he could do anything to save her. And in that moment, everything changed. This is Last Samurai Standing. Since the death of his first child, Shujiro vows to do whatever it takes for his wife and his second child. Days pass, and the day of the samurai competition finally arrives. Shujiro heads to the temple where all the participants are gathering. When he arrives, he sees that there are already hundreds of people just like him, all drawn there by the same desperate hope. Before long, the host, a man named Enju, steps onto the stage to explain the rules. But before going into details, he gives everyone one last chance to walk away. Once the rules are announced, no one will be allowed to back out. To boost excitement, Enju reveals part of the prize, showing piles of shining coins. The crowd instantly becomes eager and restless. Then he begins a countdown from 30. This is the final window for anyone to reconsider. When the countdown reaches 20, chaos suddenly interrupts the event. A disguised police officer steps forward from the crowd. He declares that the competition is illegal and threatens to arrest the organizers. Enju simply smiles, which only angers the officer. The man charges forward, but before he can reach the stage, he is struck down by a katana from the event's security. The officer dies instantly. With the interruption dealt with, Enju calmly continues the countdown. By the time it ends, not a single participant withdraws. The competitors are registered one by one, and each receives a wooden necklace. Enju explains that this deadly event is called Kodoku. It is a brutal race across Japan to reach the final destination in Tokyo. Along the way, participants must pass through specific checkpoints and gather points by taking necklaces from others. The only way to do that is by killing them. They are forbidden from speaking about the event to anyone. Each wooden necklace is worth 1 point. If a necklace is removed for more than 10 seconds, the participant will be considered withdrawn, and anyone who withdraws or breaks the rules will be executed. Some competitors panic as the reality sets in. A few attempt to run, but they are immediately shot down by guards. Enju reminds everyone that he already gave them a chance to leave. There is no turning back now. To exit the temple, each person needs at least 2 points. To reach Tokyo and finish the challenge, they need 30. How they collect those points is entirely up to them. The game begins, and violence erupts instantly. Competitors attack one another in a desperate fight for survival. Shujiro freezes. The screams, the chaos. All of it triggers the trauma he has carried for 10 long years. He cannot bring himself to draw his sword. In the middle of the madness, he notices a young girl named Futaba. She is terrified and being targeted by several participants. Something about her reminds him of his child. Without hesitation, Shujiro rushes forward to protect her. Meanwhile, another warrior stands out among the chaos. A samurai named Ukyo, known as the Guardian of the Palace, cuts down his opponents with ease. After confirming his identity, the organizers allow him to proceed to the next checkpoint, becoming one of the first to escape the temple. Shujiro continues trying to avoid the chaos, guiding Futaba toward safety. He is determined to protect her and help her escape the arena alive. But with everyone around them fighting and killing without hesitation, the situation grows more terrifying by the second. They manage to slip into a nearby house and hide in one of the rooms. For a moment, it feels like they might be safe. But someone discovers their hiding place, leaving Shujiro with no choice but to confront the intruder. Just as a fight is about to break out, the man is suddenly attacked from behind by another participant named Kyojin. Instead of taking the fallen man's wooden tag for himself, Kyojin hands it to Shujiro. He had seen Shujiro earlier give his own tag to Futaba and chooses to repay that kindness. Kyojin tells Shujiro that if he wants to survive and escape this deadly competition, he needs to start fighting. He reminds him of who he once was, a respected war legend. But Shujiro ignores the advice. He takes Futaba and heads for the exit, since together they already have the 2 points needed to leave. Unfortunately, another challenger waits for him at the door, a large and powerful fighter ready to battle. A fierce samurai duel begins, and even without drawing his blade, Shujiro manages to outmaneuver his opponent and several others. Against all odds, he escapes the temple with Futaba safe at his side. Meanwhile, far away from the battlefield, 4 major Japanese tycoons watch the competition unfold. They receive updates every time a participant escapes. Out of the original 290 contestants, only 129 make it past the first checkpoint. A representative of the organizers arrives to thank the wealthy backers for supporting Kodoku. They are told their role now is simply to sit back and watch the samurai destroy one another. Outside the temple, Shujiro faces yet another danger. A man named Bukotsu blocks his path. He has waited 10 years for this moment, hoping to finish the fight that began long ago. The two engage in a brutal battle under pouring rain. Shujiro struggles. His trauma makes him hesitate and doubt himself. Even when he finally draws his sword, he cannot fight the way he once did. At one point, he gains the upper hand and has the chance to finish Bukotsu, but his trauma stops him cold. Just when it seems Bukotsu might overpower him, Futaba suddenly appears on horseback and helps Shujiro escape. That night, Shujiro and Futaba stop at a small inn to rest. Shujiro plans to take her far away from this deadly competition, hoping to protect her from what lies ahead. But Futaba refuses. She explains that, just like him, she joined because she needs the prize money to save her family. Her story is heartbreaking. Futaba and her mother, the village leader, struggled to care for hundreds of villagers suffering from cholera. Eventually, her mother fell ill too, leaving Futaba alone to fight for everyone's survival. She tried everything, even begging in the streets, but no one helped. Just when she was on the edge of despair, she found the flyer for the Kodoku tournament. For the first time, she felt hope, not for herself, but for her mother and the people depending on her. Her memories are interrupted when Kyojin arrives. He recognizes Shujiro as the feared war legend known as Kakushi, the Reaper of Souls. Kyojin asks Shujiro to join forces and survive the competition together. He believes this tournament is not random at all. Someone powerful is using it to manipulate and benefit from the chaos between samurai. With 290 participants and a requirement of 30 points to reach the final destination, the math is clear. Only a handful can finish. Meanwhile, far away from the battlefield, Japan's Minister of Defense meets with high-ranking officials, including the Chief of Police. Reports suggest the competition may be a secret plot by foreign forces to divide the remaining samurai. But with no informants returning, they still lack proof. The next morning, Shujiro and Futaba continue toward the second checkpoint. On the road, they encounter a group of participants overwhelmed by fear and regret. They joined only to feed their families, never expecting to be forced into murder. In despair, they remove their wooden necklaces. But rules are rules. Anyone without a tag for more than 10 seconds is eliminated. Shujiro stands frozen, watching the horror unfold. His trauma resurfaces, pulling him back to the night his entire battalion was massacred by armed police. Rage replaces fear. Without hesitation, Shujiro charges at the officers, cutting them down one by one, even as bullets fly around him. At the same time, elsewhere in the competition, Bukotsu continues his violent rampage, attacking innocent civilians. But just before he can harm more people, Ukyo, the legendary guardian of the palace, steps in. The two warriors clash in a fierce and skillful duel. Ukyo's attacks are precise and disciplined, a reflection of the title he once held. But Bukotsu is no ordinary opponent, and despite Ukyo's unmatched skill, the battle ends brutally. Bukotsu wins, proving just how dangerous he truly is. Shujiro and Futaba continue their journey, moving deeper into the mountain path toward the next checkpoint. As they walk, Futaba finally asks the question she has been holding back. She wants to know how Shujiro earned the feared title Kakushi, the Reaper of Souls. Shujiro carries a painful past. As a child, he lived alongside 7 adopted siblings in a sword school called Kiachi. They were all orphans, raised and trained by a master who taught them the way of the samurai. Years later, when they reached adulthood, the master revealed a shocking truth. Only one of them would inherit the dojo, and the successor must earn it through blood. They were ordered to fight one another until only one remained. The siblings were torn. One of them, Iroha, begged the others to run, but the rest refused, knowing that escaping would draw the attention of a relentless hunter named Gentosai. To them, this brutal test was fate, something sealed the moment they chose the path of the blade. As the eldest, Shujiro could not accept watching his family destroy each other. He chose to escape, fully aware that Gentosai would hunt him for the rest of his life. From that point on, he survived as a samurai of unmatched skill. Even Gentosai's own men feared him. His legend grew, and people began calling him Kakushi, the samurai who never stopped taking lives. Back in the present, the 4 wealthy sponsors of the Kodoku competition gather in a hidden location. They watch the progress from afar and begin placing bets on who will survive the next stage. Meanwhile, Shujiro and Futaba reach the forest. There, other competitors spot Futaba and immediately see her as an easy target. Shujiro keeps his promise and protects her, showing once again why his name once inspired fear. Suddenly, a familiar face appears. Iroha, Shujiro's former dojo sister, ambushes him and unleashes her anger. To her, Shujiro is the coward who abandoned his family when they needed him most. Before their confrontation can escalate, another group of participants launches a barrage of arrows at them. Shujiro, Futaba, and Iroha have no choice but to work together as they run for cover. They are cornered with no escape. Just when it seems over, a new warrior arrives. His name is Kocha. Instead of joining the attack, he fights on Shujiro's side and effortlessly eliminates the archers with precise and unstoppable skill. According to his tribe's beliefs, harming a child is a grave sin. Those who protect children are honored. As long as Futaba stays with Shujiro, Kocha refuses to fight him. Shujiro gathers the necklaces from the fallen participants and shares them with Futaba and Iroha. Then he looks at Iroha and tells her that if she wants revenge, she can fight him in Tokyo at the final destination. The journey continues as they finally reach the second checkpoint. The guards count the necklaces they have collected and exchange them for red ones, each worth 3 points. Shujiro takes the opportunity to ask why this competition is being run in such a way, but the guard refuses to explain. He only smiles and tells Shujiro and Iroha that they should already be familiar with what Kodoku truly is. Shujiro, Futaba, and Iroha eventually arrive at the checkpoint inn, where Kyojin is waiting, just as promised. He wastes no time and asks Shujiro to rethink what Kodoku really represents. Shujiro explains the concept. Kodoku, meaning 3 insects, is a game where multiple insects are sealed in a jar and left to fight until only one remains. The strongest survives and everyone else dies. That is the true nature of this tournament. Only one winner is intended to walk away. Kyojin then asks an important question. If the rules demand only one survivor, could Shujiro truly kill the people who have been fighting beside him? Shujiro responds with determination. He refuses to follow the rules. He will break them if it means protecting the people he cares about. That answer convinces Kyojin even more that something suspicious is happening, and Shujiro may be the key to exposing it. Later that night, Shujiro gathers the courage to speak with Iroha. He apologizes for abandoning the dojo years ago and explains that he never intended to run from fate or hardship. He simply could not bear to watch his siblings slaughter each other. Iroha finally reveals what happened after he left. The second oldest sibling fought the master alone to buy time, allowing the others to escape. After that, everyone fled in separate directions to avoid being hunted by Gentosai. From that moment on, their family was torn apart. Shujiro apologizes again, but Iroha walks away without accepting it. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the forest, a group of competitors meets to plan their next move. Suddenly, an old man approaches them, asking where Shujiro and his dojo siblings are. That old man is Gentosai. Without hesitation, he massacres everyone present, showing why his name carries such terror. Far from the battlefield, inside Japan's Ministry of Internal Affairs, government officials begin to investigate the competition. At first, they suspected the samurai were gathering to plan a rebellion disguised as a tournament. But witness reports revealed something very different. Instead of uniting, the samurai were killing one another. The minister orders a search through recent telegram records. The investigation uncovers 4 influential names. These are the Zaibatsu families, powerful financial dynasties known for supporting the old imperial system. Mitsubishi, Sumitomo, Mitsui, and Yasuda. The people who appear to be pulling the strings behind Kodoku. As morning arrives, Kyojin gathers Shujiro and the others to reveal his plan to uncover the truth behind Kodoku. His first step is risky. They will hand over one captured participant to the police to measure how deeply law enforcement is involved. The second step is even more important. They need to find out where the bodies of eliminated participants are being taken. Until now, every corpse has been removed quickly and quietly, leaving no trace. If they can discover the disposal site, it may finally expose who is pulling the strings behind this deadly game. With a plan set, the group heads to the most noticeable restaurant in town, hoping other competitors might appear. At first, everything seems normal, but soon they realize the entire place is a trap set by other participants who paid local residents to help them. Chaos erupts once again. Despite the ambush, Shujiro and his group overpower the attackers. When the dust settles, only 2 survivors remain, both still wearing wooden necklaces. Their names are Takayuki and Ayumu. Takayuki will be handed over to the police, while Ayumu will stay with the group to help them gather information. From here, everyone splits up. Shujiro is instructed to play dead, with Iroha and Futaba posing as bait. Kyojin escorts Takayuki toward the nearest police outpost. Before leaving, he hands Iroha a smoke bomb in case she needs it. Meanwhile, Bukotsu continues roaming the streets searching for Shujiro. He crosses paths with Kocha, who recognizes his necklace and asks about Shujiro. Kocha tries to ignore him, but Bukotsu provokes him and even kills 2 innocent civilians. With no choice, Kocha steps in and engages him in a fierce fight. Their battle is intense, but it abruptly stops when Shikura, the same enforcer who killed the undercover officer earlier, arrives with several policemen. He warns them that officers are patrolling the area and demands they stop causing trouble. Bukotsu considers attacking them, but when he sees the rifles pointed at him, he backs down. Back to Iroha and Futaba. Once everything is prepared, they lure nearby guards toward the spot where Shujiro is pretending to be a corpse. The moment they find his body, the guards rush to move him. Iroha and Futaba follow from a distance, and what they discover shocks them. The disposal site is not a hidden pit or remote field. It is inside a private bank in the middle of town. As soon as Shujiro is brought inside, he springs into action and silently takes down one of the guards. He begins searching for evidence, but before he can find anything, Shikuri and his men arrive. They received word that Shujiro had been eliminated and immediately suspected foul play. Shikura recognizes him. The 2 once fought beside each other as samurai. But when modernization swept through the country, Shikura abandoned the old ways and aligned himself with the new authority. Now former allies stand on opposite sides. Shikura orders his men to lower their weapons, honoring the old code of a one-on-one duel. The two warriors face off in a tense and skilled battle. Shujiro struggles and nearly falls, but just in time, Iroha throws the smoke bomb into the room, giving him the cover he needs to escape. Meanwhile, Kyojin and Ayumu successfully hand Takayuki over to the police. He is immediately locked inside a holding cell. Curious about how far the corruption goes, Kyojin quietly follows two officers assigned to interrogate him. But the moment he gains access to the room, he witnesses something horrifying. The officers kill Ayumu without asking a single question. That single act confirms what he feared. The police are not just observers. They are part of the Kodaku conspiracy. A fight breaks out, and Kyojin is forced to battle his way out of the station. He manages to escape, but not without difficulty, dodging bullets and guards along the way. Elsewhere, the wealthy Zaibatsu families receive news that the government is beginning to investigate. Strangely, none of them seem worried. Instead, they look calm, as if someone is protecting them from the consequences of their actions. And that suspicion turns out to be true. The person shielding them is the chief of police of Japan, a man named Toshiyoshi. Secretly, he has been one of the main architects behind the Kodaku tournament. His goal is clear. He wants to erase the samurai era from Japan and safeguard the power of the Zaibatsu. In his eyes, protecting them is a sacred duty, and he is prepared to take full responsibility, even if his name is exposed. Not long after, Shujiro, Kyojin, and the others regroup. With everything they have uncovered, Kyojin concludes that powerful figures are involved, including high-ranking police officials. He advises Shujiro to contact someone he knows in the government. As a former general, Shujiro once worked closely with influential leaders, and now those connections may be their only chance to expose the truth. The next morning, Shujiro visits a telegram office and requests communication with Hisoka, an aide to the minister. Shujiro gives his word that he will reveal everything he knows about the Kodaku tournament and the people behind it. In exchange, he asks for protection for Futaba. Once the message is sent, Shujiro and the group continue toward the next checkpoint. But suddenly, Kyojin stops and insists they split up. After what happened at the police station, he and Ayumu are likely being hunted. Staying together would make the group an easier target, so they agree to separate, at least until things calm down. Meanwhile, Hisoka receives Shujiro's message and immediately informs the minister. Suspicion toward the chief of police grows stronger. But before taking action, they need proof. The minister orders his secretary to decode the encrypted messages found in police telegram records. The secretary works nonstop for days, and finally he succeeds. The decoded messages clearly reveal that the chief of police is part of the conspiracy. Without wasting time, he heads to the ministry late at night to deliver the evidence. But as soon as he arrives, something feels wrong. Police officers are guarding the building. Before he can react, he is ambushed and murdered, his discovery erased before it ever reaches the minister. On the other side of the story, Toshiyoshi receives news that his men have successfully secured the decoded telegram. His assistant also informs him that Shujiro recently contacted Hisoka and the minister, meaning the government may already be aware of the conspiracy. Realizing the situation is shifting, Toshiyoshi makes his move. He manipulates the narrative and frames Shujiro as the problem, claiming that the identities of the four Zaibatsu have been exposed because Shujiro leaked information. Yet instead of punishing him for breaking the rules, Toshiyoshi allows him to continue in the tournament. To him, Shujiro is too valuable as entertainment, especially now that the number of remaining participants is shrinking. Meanwhile, the minister begins to grow suspicious of Toshiyoshi's actions. He sends a personal message asking to meet face-to-face. Their disagreement goes back to a major proposal Toshiyoshi once pushed for. He wanted to use firearms to forcefully eliminate the remaining samurai. The minister rejected the idea, insisting that as a proud nation, Japan should not resort to barbaric slaughter, especially when it would anger the public and provoke the samurai even further. Back with Kyojin, after splitting from Shujiro's group, he seeks out two familiar faces, Sansuke and Shikura, adopted siblings from Shujiro and Iroha's old sword school. Whatever Kyojin is planning, it is clear the situation is getting more dangerous. He warns them that Gentosai is hunting their group and urges them to head to the village night market where Shujiro and Iroha are currently located. At that marketplace, Shujiro walks with Iroha and Futaba. The lively crowd and colorful lights remind him of his daughter, stirring a quiet ache he keeps buried. But danger is already close. Iroha senses Gentosai watching her and slips away. The moment he realizes she is alone, he gives chase. Iroha runs into a nearby house, but Gentosai does not slow down. The chase leads them deeper into the village. eventually reaching an old well. There, with nowhere left to run, Iroha is cornered. Just when everything seems lost, help arrives. Kyojin, Shikura, and Sansuke step in. The fight that follows is intense. Even with three people attacking him, Jendosai overwhelms them. His skill and brutality make it clear that he is far more than a simple enforcer. At the same time, Shujiro faces someone he hoped never to see again. Bukatsu, his old rival, finally stands before him, ready to settle the unfinished battle from their past. Shujiro tries to avoid the fight, but Bukatsu knows his weakness. He threatens Futaba, forcing Shujiro to fight with everything he has. The moment their swords clash, memories from 10 years earlier flood back. During the final war, Shujiro and Bukatsu were among the few samurai who survived the battlefield. But Bukatsu understood something many refused to accept. Once the war ended, modernization would sweep Japan, and samurai would be erased. To him, losing his place in the world was worse than death. So he chose what he believed was an honorable end, begging Shujiro, known then as Kokushi, the Reaper of Souls, to kill him. But Shujiro could not do it. He could not take the life of someone who fought beside him. Years passed. Bukatsu lost his identity and sank deeper into crime, drifting in and out of prison. Just when his life seemed meaningless, Shikura approached him with an offer. Join the Kodoku tournament. Shujiro would be there. It was a chance to finish what began a decade ago, to die at the hands of a true samurai. Now in the present, the two warriors unleash everything they have. Steel meets steel in a brutal duel. Both are evenly matched, but after a fierce exchange, Shujiro finally lands the fatal strike. As dawn approaches, Iroha, Sansuke, and Shikura regroup and realize something unavoidable. No matter where they run, Gentosai will continue hunting them. The only option left is to face him together. Meanwhile, the minister reaches his breaking point. He rushes to confront Toshioshi and demand the truth about what is happening behind the scenes. But before he gets the chance, Shikura intercepts him. Instead of relaying the message, Shikura strikes without hesitation and kills the minister in cold blood. News of the assassination spreads quickly across the country. Shujiro hears it and immediately senses foul play. This is not politics. Someone wants the truth buried, and whatever answers remain are waiting at the final destination, Tokyo. Elsewhere, Kyojin unexpectedly crosses paths with Gentosai. Enraged, he confronts him, furious over yet another failure in his mission. The story has reached a point of no return. Alliances are shifting, the truth is closing in, and the final reckoning waits ahead. So the moral of the story is, if someone invites you to a fun little competition with swords, telegrams, and billionaires watching, just stay home and sell snacks instead.